Hey everyone, it's Shannon, and I am super happy to be coming to you here in this video series, teaching you a little bit about how to use Polygon, introducing you to the world of Web3, and doing some case studies and an overview of why Polygon is special. You should start using Polygon right now, building dApps, or maybe Polygon-based dApps that are already deployed. Yeah, we can. I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit with this quick video. I'm Sean. I work here at Polygon as a DevRel engineer, and it's my job to essentially help bridge and onboard a lot of people from the Web 2 space who wants to go into Web 3. As it's a pressing problem nowadays. So I hope that this little lesson will be a kind of really a good beginner resource to you on how do you build with Web3 and maybe how do you starting off with how do you use Web3 and what exactly is Polygon and helping you get that understanding. So this course is going to be a little bit less technical. It's going to be a more of a high level overview of the ecosystem, how Polygon works, and a little bit about how you can bridge onto Polygon, start using Polygon today in both interacting with dApps and with deploying dApps. We have a second course coming out soon that is a little bit more technical. That's more focused on actual dApp development and showing off a few of the educational resources that we have for that specifically. And so cool. Thanks a ton for watching this video. In the next one, I'll be telling you a little bit more about what Ethereum is, and then what Polygon is, and why is there such a big problem with the Ethereum ecosystem nowadays. So go check that out. Thanks so much for watching. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about why you need Polygon. First of all, Ethereum scaling is pretty hard because a lot of different projects require a lot of different scaling needs. So if you want to mint like 10,000 NFTs, right, that's probably slightly different than if like millions of traders are constantly arbitraging on your platform, Uniswap. Or Sushi Swap. Um, and we're going to kind of take a little look at these different dApps slightly later. But just for now, you just need to know that Ethereum scaling is diverse and it's a hard problem to solve because there's a lot of Ethereum like ETH killers nowadays that you hear about in the market. We wanted Polygon essentially wanted to build something that integrates perfectly with ETH. So as long as you know how to develop on native Ethereum, you should know how to develop on Polygon. And wouldn't be a big deal to move over. So, um, what Polygon is effectively is a multi-chain like Ethereum scaling aggregator because essentially these different means of scaling are so like diverse essentially because we have like so many different technologies that we can use to help you scale and different projects need different scaling needs. We have a lot of different blockchains that we have for you. So what we're going to be going over with this like quick course is going to be the Polygon proof of stake, which is live right now. You can use it, and it's kind of like the main like flagship product right now. But there are, as our security standards kind of increase and get better, we have ZK rollups that are also in the progress of building. And as a result, Polygon Nightfall, Maiden, and Zero will be coming out later this year and early next year. Um, it's kind of so the kind of whole purpose of this is to kind of build a network that you can just build on top of Ethereum and then access here on Polygon. So we want to essentially just cater to all the people that already know how to develop on Ethereum, but just want faster and scalable dApps. And there's a lot of resources, honestly, on the network. And namely, what I'm talking about in terms of resources is like a lot of people that are willing to help you develop like developer communities, If you're in, like, for example, we have like these. I'm personally in university, and we have these like initiatives that essentially help you set up like a local guild of Polygon developers. So if you want like friends to develop with you and kind of hone your developer skills like that, yeah, like by all means, I think you should, you should start a guild or something like that. But that's just an example of like the fact that we have a lot of resources to help you develop. And on top of those resources, these are just a few numbers on um, how great, well, Polygon is. You have super low block time. Ethereum main chain has like around 10 to 15 seconds of block time. We have 2 seconds. That's about like 5 times faster. And the average transaction cost here is like less than a cent. And I want to just show you a little bit of something as well. You can actually see on the various blockchain explorers. If you go to Etherscan, which is like Ethereum's main blockchain explorer, um, right now, every day it's like around like 1 million transactions, right? But on Polygon, um, this number when it was like super popular, like way back then. Let me show you. It was up to like 8 million. When like Matic the proof of stake sidechain was like freshly new in June. And I mean, honestly, it's still, in my opinion, I think it's like it's still pretty active recently. Like 3 million transactions a day isn't bad. Um, but I wanted to kind of pay real attention closely to gas dot Ethereum. Wait, gas tracker. Yeah, there it is. So Etherscan gas tracker provides you with approximately the amount of money that it takes to make any transaction, and on Ethereum, it's like lowest of the low is like $8. $8 isn't even realistic in my personal experience. Never had a transaction that costed $8 ever since like a year ago. Um, but on Polygon, it's like literally less than a cent. So you can imagine how many times cheaper it is. It's like 700x. I don't know. But the point is, transactions are super cheap, and transaction costs are a huge issue on Ethereum because imagine wanting to literally just go for, let's say, like a Uniswap transaction, and then your transaction costing more than, well, like what you wanted to swap for, right? And as such, this makes Polygon a super like beginner friendly ecosystem because the average person, at least some of my friends, um, chucked like 20 to 50 bucks into Ethereum to like experiment, right? But then they can like never get the money out because like gas fees are just so intense. So if you want to natively on ramp onto Polygon, you can essentially just skip all the gas fees and just play with the blockchain. Like just as it is. And because Polygon is a fully functional blockchain, you can have access to 3,000 dApps and a high TVL network with the comfort of literally not paying a lot of fees at all. And if you want to mint your own tokens, develop, we have essentially all the tools that you need to do that. And all the assets are obviously secured on Ethereum through these plasma checkpoint nodes that we were talking about slightly earlier in the last video. Cool. So in the next one, I'm going to be showing you a little bit more about kind of the roadmap, and a little bit of just the basic things that you need to start playing with. All right, guys. So as a continuation of the last video, I wanted to show a little bit about, I guess, the more technical side of Polygon. This isn't going to take very long. It's just going to be like the basics. All you need to know as a developer if you want to build anything on Polygon is that Polygon has backward compatibility. So whatever you're using, JavaScript, if you're using like Truffle or Hardhat, and then obviously Solidity, you can use all of these same dev tools to deploy dApps on Polygon, which means that if you're kind of like also if you want to take your dApp to production, or like take some sort of DeFi dApp to production specifically, you can also fuzz and contract test that way, and kind of expect the same levels of security and kind of same security like measures that you should test for before going to release. Um, And of course, the same concerns essentially that you're typically subject to when you're, doing Solidity dApps, such as making sure that your, I guess some of your functions are, owner only, or inheriting various other Solidity-based libraries from, let's say, like OpenZeppelin. All of that still applies. And so if you're a developer, it's very, very, very easy to deploy in Polygon. And actually, just to show you a really, really quick example, um, one of the easiest things actually to do is to deploy in Polygon is if you take like a already finished app, right? I'm gonna just pop up like an already finished app. Let's do like this one. So if this is built via Hardhat, and for Hardhat users, same thing for Truffle users, um, you need to just go down to this module.exports thing in your config, and then make sure to list Polygon or Mumbai as one of the networks. The process is kind of similar to connecting to MetaMask, except you're just specifying the window. I think of like RPC URLs like the windows to the blockchain, right? You're using someone's node services to deploy dApps onto the blockchain. And so you essentially just make sure to list your RPC URL, how much max gas you're willing to pay, and the account that you're trying to deploy with. Um, the great thing about Scalable ETH, which is what I'm building on, is the fact that it already has a thing that generates a burner account mnemonic for you, which essentially is just like, when you do yarn run generate in your console, you generate a deploy account, which will deploy your smart contract for you, and you don't have to use your own account. But by all means, use your own account if you want. Um, Same thing with any front end hooks. So I know that some of you might be like users of ETH hooks, and also from Scaffold ETH. If not, don't worry about it. But I mean, this also applies. Sorry, just generally for any smart contract. If you're essentially trying to deploy a front end that has hooks that are based on like which network you're deploying to, the process is relatively also similar. You would also have a constants.js file that has like all of your various networks, and the same thing is going on here, where just like you would have mainnet and Kovan listed, you would also have Mumbai and Polygon. I don't think yeah, Polygon. It used to be named Matic, that's why it's called Matic here. But yeah, so it should be relatively simple on the developer side. In the next, I guess, like course that we're doing, we'll be doing more of a technical deep dive on that. But yeah, that's essentially all what you need to know as like a developer. Before, I guess for both developers and users, I think that the consensus mechanisms that Polygon runs on is also relatively simple to explain. Let me just see here. So in the docs, there should be like a resource for you that essentially details like what exactly like is Polygon, and the specific consensus mechanisms that are in play here. Which once again isn't at all different from like normal. If you want to set up a full node, there's quite a lot of really good guides here in the network details, specifically regarding like minimal technical requirements and how do you deploy a full node for the Polygon mainnet. You can do this via Ansible/Python, and also you can also just do this on a binary. And essentially, how the consensus works is you would have a lot of nodes, right? Remember what I said in a previous video that like Ethereum is kind of like Voltron. You have a lot of nodes and kind of different computers connecting and playing on the network. Similar thing with Polygon. You can try to fire up a full node, um, and you can use many different ways to do so. Um, and yeah, and essentially, I like to think of Bohr nodes, and so yeah, so Bohrs are the individual like node clients that you're gonna have, and I like to think of Bohr as like a kind of like booting up a Geth node, if you're familiar. Yeah, so it's a basic Geth implementation with custom changes. Um, and if you're familiar with booting up Geth, um, I don't know if you'd be watching this video, but yeah, essentially, Bohr is a like a kind of like a block producer, like operator on Polygon, and Heimdall is kind of the heart, and it manages various things like consensus, like validators, uh, you know, I guess like who produces the blocks, uh, like state syncing between Ethereum. Oh well, it says I just realized that it says so also here, but you get the point. And um, I don't think you necessarily need to like delve super deep into all of this. If you're curious though, definitely do be sure to like check this out. But essentially it just makes sure this essentially just says that you um this encoder helps to verify all transactions that happens on Polygon sidechain on the Ethereum mainnet, and also transactions are basic transactions. You essentially trigger these things called state changes whenever you make a transaction. And how the blockchain essentially works is like every single time you transfer someone money or send coins, interact with a protocol, or sign a message, you trigger a state change. And what that does is it's like how I'm filming this video right now, and how each period of time I'm like saying a different word, right? If I've said a word, you literally can't just like revert the word, right? And how everything continues to continue throughout time. A similar concept happens in the blockchain where your state continues to move on, and continues to essentially be locked in block by block, transaction by transaction, and all of these states gain essentially reality by finality. Like finality is just essentially the transactions are confirmed on the chain, and it's like this transaction exists, it's legit. It's a real thing, and it's actually there, and it can't really be reverted unless of course you try to like do like a fraud proof challenge with various like zk rollup type scaling solutions that we're currently building. But I guess that's a little bit even more advanced, and I think by the time you understand that, I don't think you'd be watching this video. um, but yeah, that's essentially what you need to know. You just need to know that if you want to fire up a Bohr node, it's similar to the process for if you want to like fire up a Geth node. um, and there are full guides on the Polygon docs for if you do actually want to fire up your own node. Um, and if you and so I don't think you need to really like understand anything specific about the blockchain, besides for the fact that each block gains finality on the basis that everyone on the network confirms the block and runs like calculations to confirm the block's like validity, and the fact that each block has a specific like time that it takes to confirm, and just the fact that Polygon has a way shorter time for that, and all of our transactions are essentially confirmed on Ethereum mainnet for finality, and it gets locked in on the main kind of data execution settlement layer, that is like super secure and decentralized. Um, and so I think that's kind of the key lesson to take away here is the fact that like, while I'll be repeating myself a lot, but you should appreciate the fact that despite being kind of like a side chain, yeah, like a sort of side chain, um, that we do take as many measures at the proof of stake side chain as possible to make sure that all transactions are at least retain some sort of decentralized, like some degree of decentralization and high amounts of security. And the fact that you can, query all these transactions, or oh well, maybe not query them on mainnet. You can't query them on the Polygon Scan Blockchain Explorer though, because all transactions and blocks will be finalized. But you'll this is all there for you to see, and it's all public information. So, yeah, thanks a ton. Hey guys, so we're gonna do a small case study of some various dApps that you can use that are deployed on Polygon, and I'll give you some resources on how to find more, and kind of also the reason why you want to use this on Polygon instead of just normal Ethereum. So, here we go. So if you're into DeFi and if you want to generate some quick passive income for yourself, um, there's several options. You can exchange tokens on Sushi. Like if you want to do like I guess some sort of arbitrage to try to earn money. Um, but what I personally like to do is either go to liquidity pools and go LP. LPing just means that you're depositing money for other people to use to swap, because that's how automated market makers work. You deposit money, and based on the amount of supply that you have in the total pool, people can swap money back and forth using your funds, but you'll earn fees as long as the price doesn't shift too far from what it was originally when you deposited. You'll continue earning big loads of money. But that aside, you can also, if you want to go for like a more, I guess, a safer option, you can go deposit some of your funds into your onsen pools. And the main reason why you want to do this, why specific on Polygon and why not on just normal Ethereum, is because if you go to, let's say, if we go to like normal Ethereum, right? Like, if we go on something like Uniswap, which is like almost the exact same thing as SushiSwap. If we go to Uni, right, and we connect our wallet, all right, let me just connect my wallet here. So if we just connect our wallet here, we're gonna see that on Polygon, if you want to do any sort of transaction, let's say if I wanted to swap like 80 Matic into Aave, right? The fee, the price, or sorry, the network fees are going to be extraordinarily low. But if we do this on normal Ethereum, say if we want to swap like just any token um, into another token, let's say like if I wanted to swap like 1 ETH into 1 inch, right? I mean, it's the same process, just like different tokens, but you'll see that the network fees are like a ton higher. And typically, this isn't just, I guess, your normal fees. You know what I mean? It's like, specifically, what I'm more so talking about is just, gas fees. So right now, at the moment, gas fees are pretty low, but this number can easily spike up to around $100 or $200. So it's definitely great to use Polygon for the use case. Even if it is $20, I'm sure you wouldn't want to pay $20 just to swap some of your funds over. And same thing with Aave. So if you go on Aave and if you go on, let's say, like if you want to deposit, right, deposit some more funds into Aave to get passive yield, kind of like a similar concept to how you would have on Uniswap or SushiSwap pools, except this is just like a lend borrow specific protocol, which means that you deposit your money, other people lend it out for a specific amount of interest, and if they can't return the loan, their loan gets liquidated, and they and liquidators essentially get premiums or bonuses or to be incentivized to liquidate these loans. But in the end, because these loans are collateralized, you'll either way you'll get your money back. But of course, for the cost of them using your money, you'll get some APY, and this is why you want to use Aave on Polygon. So right now I just need to switch my network here just to show you how this looks like on normal Ethereum. So if I want to deposit like 160 bucks USDC, right? This is going to cost me $50. because just because of gas fees alone. Um, as you can see here, it's pretty huge. It's pretty staggering. But if we push this over to Polygon mainnet markets, go to Aave Polygon, probably go to Matic, and then deposit some Matic. If we wanted to, let's say if I wanted to deposit all my Matic, right? You'll see here that the gas fee is basically nothing. Um, so this is kind of the benefit generally towards using dApps on Polygon, because it charges effectively no money. 0.01 Matic is basically a cent or 2 cents. And I'm sure you'd much rather have that over the over the $50 worth of gas fees on on Ethereum mainnet. That's like a solid like 50 times 50 is like 2,500. So 2,500 time like difference. Um, so that's pretty significant. Obviously, the gas fees, depending on network volume, can change somewhat quickly. But I mean, it's all gonna stay under 1 cent, so it's not that big of a worry at all. Great. So if you want to check out more DeFi dApps, DeFi Llama has a really good kind of tracker for everything DeFi. And you can just go right here to Polygon, and you'll be able to see all of these different dApps on Polygon that you can stake your money in, get some passive income. And the APR, sorry, the APR slash APY is, in my opinion, a lot better than traditional finance, where if you were to like, I guess, buy some stocks, average return is about like 9% per year, right? Um, some of these pools yield up to around 20, like a solid 20% on average, and some of the riskier and obviously newer pools yield up to like around like 50 to 100%. So it's really great. And so just I guess some other dApps that I can definitely that I can show you. Um, there's this also another one called Cheetao, which is kind of similar to Sushi in the sense that you can like have pools to stake in, and these various pools are this is kind of like this farm is a farm aggregator where uh, this Cheetao takes farms from a lot of other dApps like QuickSwap or Curve, and it's listed right here. So as you see, a platform quick swap. So this is kind of like a multi-chain farm aggregator, and you can also essentially mint mint my stable coins if you want to, and yeah, I just think that I typically use the farm feature, or if you want to, you can deposit some yield bearing tokens for APR. But yeah, I typically just use the farm feature. And so yeah, there's a whole list of apps here that you can check out that are mostly DeFi based. But kind of moving on to the NFT side of things, there's also a reason why you would also want to mint NFTs on Polygon instead of mainnet Ethereum for the same reason. So if you're kind of like not necessarily like a small artist, but if your art wants to if you want to make your art really accessible and kind of appeal to non-blockchain or like new to the blockchain users or buyers, you would definitely want to deposit this on Polygon for the same reasons. Because if you deposit on mainnet Ethereum, the gas fees are going to be sky high. So let me just show you the difference between like NFTs on mainnet versus NFTs on Polygon. So if we go to, I don't know, let's click into like a random NFT, right? This is like a solid floor price, right? It's like 0.2 ETH. It's like around like $400 or $500. All right. So if we, I think even if we place a bid, right? I'm gonna show you the gas fees that it takes to. Oh, right. Sorry, I need Weth. So let's see here. So first of all, you need to convert your ETH to Weth, and already that's gonna be like a solid. So if we go from Ether to Weth, you're still doing this via Uniswap, but probably not 3 ETH. But here you go. So let's do like, for example, let's just do 1 ETH, right? And if we wanted to do one ETH, so currently, as far as I know, at least currently the gas fees are really low, but I assure you that like this is, oh, well, I mean, this is still $10, right? So if this is $10, and typically, just saying, like gas fees are typically higher than this. I'm actually really surprised that this is actually $10 right now, because that means I can go ahead and actually go swap, for relatively cheap. But if we switch on over to Polygon, so if we go on, so OpenSea does have Polygon support. Let's go on to Polygon Punks, right? And then let's switch our let's switch our network over to the Polygon mainnet. And as you can see here, so right, okay, so here we go. I don't know yet if this is on mainnet. I know we switch on over to Polygon for now, but yeah, let me see here. Right, okay, so we are on Polygon right now, and first of all, we got to just sign in, and so this is gonna be kind of like just a general onboarding process. You obviously don't have to follow this. This is just to make sure that you do have funds on the Polygon network. I think I showed in a previous video how you can use wallet.polygon.technology to get a fee on on-ramp. But if you didn't watch that, just really quickly, you can click onto the wallet, sign in, and just sign this little transaction, or it's not a transaction, but just a signature request. And then you can come on over here, move funds on a Polygon, or from Ethereum to Polygon. That's fine too. But if you want to do on-ramp payments, there's a lot of various services for you to just board directly onto Polygon. So there's a guide here that says essentially how you can buy NFTs from Polygon. So if you want to, you can effectively switch over to Polygon to reduce the amount of gas fees that you see previously. Even though that was just a solid $10, gas fees are typically higher than that. I've had to pay like around $50 to mint a $50 NFT before, and I wasn't really satisfied with that. So if you want to make your or once again really accessible, you can go on Polygon. So if we go on right here, there's a little documentation on how to buy NFTs on Polygon. So you can make sure to toggle on Polygon in the chains category. And here we go. There's a ton of various different NFTs for that are already deployed on Polygon. Let's see if we I guess if we want to buy like a burger flipper, right? Check this little box here. So once you come into here, it'll essentially, when you click buy now, OpenSea will prompt you to deposit ETH onto Polygon if you don't have Polygon ETH. But what you can do is go onto SushiSwap, trade, swap, and then you can swap some of your Matic. Oh, I'm still on mainnet. So we're going to just switch on over to Polygon. All right, while that loads. But essentially, you can buy any of these NFTs for some ETH, but just make sure to already have some Polygon ETH on hand, and you'll be all set. So once again, if this is your first time buying an item on Polygon, you'll essentially be asked to unlock Polygon trading on your wallet, and this is kind of going to be the screen, and this is only going to happen once. So all you need to do is confirm checkout once you have your Polygon ETH, and you can sign the message, and the transaction fees will be much cheaper than this because, or much cheaper than the $10 that you saw previously because we're doing this on Polygon. So if this thing will load, that'll be great. But if it doesn't, I can. Oh, sweet. All right. So we can swap some of our Matic into wrapped ETH, and all I need to do is just kind of give this a reloading, I'm sure, and then swap onto Polygon mainnet. I have a broken RPC on one of them, so that's why I need to, I guess, swap again. There we go. So if you want to switch, like, let's say like 10, right, into WETH ETH, right, you can, as you can see, you can swap some, and once you confirm the swap for essentially less than anything, it submits a transaction. Transaction should be ready in like around 20 seconds. Here it is. So now, I guess, I don't know, maybe I should have swapped more. Oh, never mind, here it is. So let's just like buy this thing, right? Like buy this random thing. So I can just unlock my currency, and all this needs is just a small signature. And if I wanted to buy this, all I need to do is just sign this transaction. Oh, I think oh, interesting. So let's just refresh then. Oh, okay. See, great. So I bought this thing at a solid 2 ETH, or sorry, not 2 ETH, $2 at 0.007 ETH. I bought this just to kind of demo the fact that you can, well, buy something for really, really cheap on Polygon without you being charged for like a solid $10. So, for stuff like this, right, it wouldn't make sense to deploy on mainnet because you're going to be paying $12 for buying something that's $2. So why not pay nothing for buying something that's $2 in terms of, well, extra fees, right? I probably shouldn't have bought this just because I don't. I think this is going to be pretty useless. But just to kind of demo the fact that you can actually buy something on Polygon. Sweet. So kind of now I want to introduce a little bit of DAO tooling, and if you and this is just an example. You don't have to go specifically onto XDAO, but if you want to create a DAO or invest into a DAO that invests, for essentially giving them, essentially some of your money for them to manage and hopefully return like a return. You can just click easily on invest and then make it like a private offer. And some of these are disabled, but there's also better, other dApps that are similar in terms of, DAO tooling wise, or you can even create your own DAO. I'm pretty sure Alchemy gives Polygon support, but if you don't, or if they don't, there is plenty of. Sorry, I could just sign in here. Right, great. So, all right, so Alchemy only serves mainnet or XDAI, but there is plenty of other like DAO creating platforms on Polygon that you can check out. If you actually know one, be sure to leave one in the comments, so then I guess other people can also find one too. But yeah, I think that about wraps it for this small dApp showcase. If you liked it, be sure to keep watching till the end of the next video, where I'm going to be just kind of introducing a new more technical course that we're going to do on Polygon Academy, for Polygon Academy on Morales. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your attention, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks. All right, time for you to build your first starter app. fork this repo and the repo that I've attached in the external resources section, and boot it up using either Truffle or Ganache, or if you want to, you can do the Hardhat version. And this is essentially kind of just to get you to deploy your first ever dApp on Polygon. The instructions and essentially how to build this or boot this up and various descriptions on what's actually going on are in the GitHub README. And if you want to go with the more modern, newer, and simpler setup, feel free to go with Hardhat, but definitely do try out the Truffle one, as it's highly recommended. And yeah, once you're done with this one, I hope you have a great time trying to deploy a dApp on Polygon, both the mainnet and testnet. Once you're done with this, let me know, I guess down in the comments what you thought of it. And feel free to head to the next lecture. All right, time for you to deploy your first ever NFTs. Same drill as last time. Feel free to go to the GitHub repo, fork it, and get started building. It's gonna be a little bit different of a Solidity contract than the first time, and somewhat similar of a front end, but you'll figure it out. I think using the README instructions, this should be relatively easy. So feel free to complete this one and then move on to building your first ever DeFi dApp. All right, similar drill last time. You're going to deploy your first DeFi dApp onto Polygon. Fork the repo and get started. There's multiple resources attached in the external resources section. Two separate repos actually. So feel free to give those a try and move on to the next one when you're ready. All right, so if you're essentially wanting more dApps and more scaffolded dApps to build on, or if you're just participating in the hackathon and you want your boilerplate code out of the way, feel free to head on over to Polygon Academy, which is attached in the external resources links of this section module, and there will be plenty of resources for you to build there. Have fun with that. All right, first of all, let's get into a little bit of dApp building prerequisites. If you're not familiar with smart contract development, feel free to start with the Solidity documentation and examples that I've attached here. I personally use these for Solidity development testing anyways, so I just thought to share these with you because I thought these were really good resources. Sounds good. And there will be a few more resources coming up. Feel free to check those out as well. The second resource I have for you are a few front-end tutorials and examples. There are already some in Crypto Zombies, which I am about to show you in the next lecture module section. But the main libraries you're going to be using is Ethers.js, and if you want to, you can use Waffle as well. I've also attached documentation for that here, so do check that out. And last but not least, I've included some very, very basic Solidity practice via Crypto Zombies also on this lecture pod. If you want to actually get some Solidity practice while doing this in a really tutorial friendly way, here's a good resource for that.